Hello everyone and welcome back once again. This is your EVS teacher here, and this time I am here with a brand new chapter of Ncert grade 5th, that is Sunita in Space. Students, in this chapter we are going to learn and discuss about the second woman Indian astronaut who went into space, means to say about Sunita Williams and her experience in space. And students, we are also going to learn and discuss about the concept of gravity, the shape of Earth, the demarcation on Earth that are man-made, and lastly we will also develop some scientific temperament. But students, before moving on toward the chapter, it is necessary for all of you to understand that who is Sunita Williams. Students, Sunita Williams was born on 19 September 1965 in Euclid City of Ohio State of America. Students, she was the United Navy officer, and students, she was the second American astronaut of Indian heritage to go to space after Kalpana Chawla, who died in the Columbia disaster. And students, she has the record of 195 days in space. Then students, on 9 December 2006, she went to International Space Station in Space Shuttle Discovery. And students, she hold the record of most spacewalk time for women, that is 50 hours and 40 minutes in space in 7 spacewalk. So students, these are the general information about Sunita Williams. Now let's move on towards the chapter. Students, this chapter starts with a question, and that is that what do you think the Earth looks like? Students, it means that you have to imagine yourself that what is the shape of the Earth or what the Earth looks like, and then students, according to your own imagination, you have to draw the shape of the Earth in your notebook. Then students, after this you have to show yourself that where are you on Earth. Then students, lastly you have to compare your drawing with rest of your friends or classmates. Now students, here are two children in this chapter, and students, your whole chapter is based on the conversation between these two children. The first one is Shahmir and the second one Uzaira. And students, as you can see here in this image, both the children are playing with the globe, and while playing with the globe they are talking to each other. So as firstly Uzaira said to Shahmir that, do you know that Sunita Williams is visiting our school tomorrow? I have heard that she has spent more than 6 months in space. Students, Uzaira told to Shahmir that tomorrow Sunita Williams is going to visit their school, and she also heard about Sunita Williams that she has spent more than 6 months in space. Then students, Shahmir replied that, look, here is America, Africa. Hey, where is space? Means to say, Shahmir asked Uzaira that, Uzaira, look here. Here is America, Africa, but I can't see space. Can you answer me? Where is space? Then students, Uzaira answered to Shahmir that the sky, stars, sun and moon, they are all in space. Then student, Shahmir replied, yes, I know that. Sunita Williams went in a spaceship. I saw on TV that she could see the Earth from there. Then student, Shahmir told to Uzaira that he knew that sky, stars, sun and moon are all in space. And he also heard about Sunita Williams that she went in a spaceship, and he also saw on TV that she could see the Earth from there. Then students, Uzaira said, yes, from there means from this space the Earth looked like this globe. Then students, Shahmir asked to Uzaira, if our Earth looked like this globe, then where we are? Then students, Uzaira takes a pen and places it on the globe, and then answered to Shahmir, look, here we are. this is India. Then students, Shahmir asked Uzaira, if we were here like in this way as you show me, then we would all fall off. I think we must be inside the globe, not outside the globe. Then students, Uzaira said, if we are inside, means to say inside the earth, then where is the sky, the sun, the moon and the stars? Then students, she replied to Shahmir that we must on the globe, means to say on the outside of the globe, and all the seas in the ocean must also be on the globe. Then students, Shahmir pointing towards the lower part of the globe, as you can see here in this image, and then questioned to her that you mean to say that no one stays here, means to say on the lower part of the globe. Then students, then Uzaira replied to Shahmir, no, people live here too, means to say on the lower part of the globe, like the Brazil and the Argentina are the countries here where people live. Then students, Shahmir asked Uzaira that if people live here too in the lower part of the globe, then are the people here, means to say like in Brazil and Argentina, are standing upside down? Why don't these people fall off? Then students, after hearing the question of Shahmir, Uzaira also got confused, and she said, yes, it looks strange, and the blue part must be the sea on the globe. Then why doesn't the sea water fall off? Now students, here are some questions to discuss. As the question number 1 is, what do you think the earth looks like? Make a drawing of the earth in your notebook. The students, as we already discussed this question earlier, you have to imagine in yourself that what the earth looks like. Then according to your own imagination, you have to draw the sketch of earth in your notebook. Now students, the second question is, if the earth is round like a globe, how is that we don't fall off? The students, as you all know that the earth is round like a ball or like a globe. Now here is a question that if the earth is round like a globe, then why we don't fall off? Students, we don't fall off because due to the gravitational pull from the earth that hold us toward itself, and that is why we won't fall off. Now students, the next question is, do the people in Argentina stand upside down? Students, no, not at all. The people there in Argentina don't stand upside down. And students, there isn't any concept like standing upward or downwards. In fact, they also stand upright as we do. Now students, let's move on further toward the chapter, talking with Sunita. Students, as we discussed earlier that Uzaira and Shahmir waited eagerly for the day to come. Sunita had come to their school, and students, they are excited to talk with Sunita. So students, when Sunita went there in their school, then she said that her friend Kalpana Chawla also wanted to come to India and meet children. And today she, means to say Sunita William, came to their school to fulfill Kalpana's dream. Now students, Sunita shared her experiences of living in space with the children. She said that they couldn't sit at one place and they all kept floating in the spaceship from one end to another. And students, further she said to children that in fact water too doesn't stay at one place in space, and water also floats around as blob, and in fact to wash their faces and hands they all had to catch these blobs and then make the paper wet with them. Students, further she shared that they ate very differently in space, and during their dine time they all would float into the dining area of the spaceship and catch the floating food packets. Further, she said that in space there was no need to use a cone, because as there is no gravity, so her hair kept standing all the time, as you can see here in this image. And lastly, she shared that they not being able to walk and they had to get used to floating around. And students, further she said that to stay at one place they had to step themselves there, and the papers also had to be stuck to the wall of the spaceship. And lastly, she said that it was a lot of fun living in space, but she also added that it was very difficult for them to do work in such situations. Now students, here are some questions related to these photographs. Now students, you have to carefully look at towards these photographs and then you have to answer these questions. The question number 1 is, can you think why Sunita's hair was standing? Now students, you have to answer in this question that why Sunita's hair was standing, as you can see here in this image. Students, as we already discussed earlier that Sunita's hair was standing because she was in space, and in space there is zero gravity, means to say no gravity, and that makes everything float, and that's why Sunita's hair was standing. Now students, the next question is, look at Sunita's photographs and the dates written on each of them. Now write what all is happening and when. Now students, in this question you have to make a sharp observation of all these photographs here in this image, and then you have to write down the happenings and their dates. Now students, here are some more questions to discuss. The question number 1 is, can you now say why Sunita's hair kept standing? The students, as we already discussed this question many times, that in space there is zero gravity, means to say there is no gravity at all, and due to this Sunita's hair kept standing. Now the next question is, think why water flows downwards on any slope. On mountains, two water flows downwards, not upwards. Students, here in this question you have to answer that why water always flow downwards on any slope. Students, this happened just because due to the gravitational force of Earth, and due to this force the water always flows down the mountain. Now students, let's move on further toward the chapter. Where are the lines really? Sunita described her view of the earth from this space. The earth looks so beautiful and amazing. We could watch it for hours from the window of the spaceship. We could clearly see the curved shape of the earth. Students, Sunita describes her experiences about this space, that the earth looks so beautiful and amazing, and the other astronaut along with her could watch it for hours from the window of the spaceship. And students, further she said that they could clearly see and experience the curved shape of the earth. Now students, here are some questions related to this image. Now you have to clearly observe this image and then you have to answer these questions here. The question number 1 is, can you see India? Students, yes, we can easily see India on the globe, as you can see here. This one is the India. Now students, the second question is, can you recognize any other place? Yes, students, we can easily recognize other countries as well on the globe. For an example, this one here is Sri Lanka. In the same way, we can also recognize other countries as well. Now students, the next question is, where is the sea? Students, all the bluish color that you observe in this image is the sea. Means to say, the blue color on the globes indicates water, as you can see here. This one all is the water here, here indicates water. Now students, the next question is, do you find anything similar between the globe and this picture of the earth? In what ways are they different? Now students, in this question you have to answer that do you find anything similar between this image and this image, and how can you find the difference between these two pictures? Students, as the first one is the picture of earth and the second one is the picture of globe, and students, in both the picture we can easily identify that which part is land and which part is sea. But students, it is very difficult to identify a particular country or a city in a globe as compared to the picture of the earth. Now students, the next question is, do you think Sunita could make out of Pakistan, Nepal and Burma separately when she saw the earth from space? Students, in this question you have to answer that do you think that Sunita could easily make out Pakistan, Nepal, Burma separately? Students, no, not at all. It is not possible. It is very difficult to identify these countries because no particular country can be visible from space, and that's why we can say that Sunita couldn't make out Pakistan, Nepal and Burma separately. Now students, Uzaira and Shahmir are looking at the different countries on the globe, and then Uzaira told to Shahmir that, see, there are lines between the different countries on this globe. And then she asked to Shahmir, do you think there are such lines also there on the earth? Then student, Shahmir replied to Uzaira, there must be. See here, here is the map of India in this book, and there are also lines between the different states too. Then students, Uzaira told to Shahmir, Shahmir, if we go from Delhi to Rajasthan, would we find such lines made on the ground? Students, well, Uzaira and Shahmir was little confused about the demarcations of one state with the other. And students, the lines or the boundaries that you basically observe on maps and the globes are just the demarcation which separate one state from the other. And students, there isn't any actual demarcations on the earth between two states. These are just an imaginary lines which help us to demarcate one state from the other. Now students, here are some questions to discuss. Students, you have to look at the map of your country as you can see here. This one is the map of our country, and students, after observing this map, you have to answer the questions. The question number 1 is, can you find the state in which you live? Write its name on the map. Students, yes, we can easily find out the state in which we live, and that is here, Uttarakhand. So, you have to write the name of your state, Uttarakhand. Now, the next question is, which are the states next to the state you live in? Now, students, in this map, you have to find out the neighboring states of Uttarakhand. Students, as you can see here, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Haryana, these are the neighboring states of our Uttarakhand. Now students, the next question is, have you been to any other state? Now students, in this question you have to answer that if you ever been to any other state. If yes, then you have to write down here yes, and with this you also have to mention the name of that state. Now students, Shahmir thinks that there are lines drawn on the ground between the states. What do you think? Students, as I said earlier, that these lines that you basically observe here in this map, like this one, these are just all the imaginary lines that help us to demarcate any state from other state. And students, in fact, in actual, there isn't any demarcation between the states. And in fact, students, when Sunita saw the earth from this space, she found the earth very beautiful. And when she saw the earth, then there are many thoughts that came to her mind. And students, when these thoughts came to her mind, then she describes the earth that from so far away, one can only make out the land and the sea. One cannot see the different countries. Division into countries have been done by us. All the lines on the maps are made by us. They are in our mind. I wish we all think, where are the lines really? Students, as I said, that the lines that we generally observe or see in the map of India, and in fact not only in the map of India, in fact the world also, all these lines are just imaginary lines that made by the human being in order to demarcate one state from other and one country from other. Now students, Shahmir took a coin, and then students, he closes his one eye and moves the coin back and forth while looking at the moon. Then Shahmir said to Uzaira, "Look, I can hide the moon behind this coin." Then students, Uzaira replied, "Wow, imagine hiding such a big moon behind such a small coin. Isn't it amazing?" Now students, here is an activity that you have to do at your home, and students, in this activity you also have to try to do the same with the coin as Shahmir does. And then students, you have to notice that how many centimeters away from the eye did you keep the coin to hide the moon. Then students, according to your own observation, you have to write down your answer here. Now students, here are some more questions to discuss. The question number 1 is, do you think the moon is flat like the coin or round like a ball? If yes, then you have to write down here, yes, I think the moon is round like a ball. Now the question number 2 is, you have to look at the moon tonight and draw what it looks like. Look and draw again after 1 week and then after 15 days. Now students, this is an activity that you have to do at your home, in which you have to look at the moon at a particular night, and then students, you have to draw the picture of moon. As for an example, today is 1st February 2021 and the shape of the moon is somewhat in this way. Then students, after 1 week, you have to draw again the picture of moon. Then students, again after 15 days, you have to draw the image of moon. Now students, here are some more questions to discuss. The question number 1 is, what are the festivals related to the moon? Students, festivals related to full moon are Karwa Chauth, Holi, Eid, etc. Now the next question is, at night look at the sky carefully for 5 minutes. Now students, at a particular night you have to look at the sky carefully for 5 minutes. Then you have to answer here that what could you see? Well students, obviously at night we could see the moon and the stars So you have to write down here, I could see the moon and the stars. Now students, the next question is, did you see anything moving in the sky? What do you think it could be? A star or a shooting star or a satellite? Now students, in this question you have to answer that, did you see anything moving in the sky? If yes, then you have to write down here, yes, I saw something moving in the sky. Now students, after this you have to answer that the thing that you see in the sky moving, what is it? A star or a shooting star or a satellite? Students, the thing that you may see moving in the sky may be a shooting star because it crosses faster as compared to satellite. And students, in case if it would be satellite, then it would move very slowly. So students, if it crosses faster, then you have to write down here shooting star. And if it moves very slowly, then you have to write down here satellite. Now students, here is a table given. Now you have to observe the table very carefully. Then you have to write down the answers of the questions that follows. Given below are the times at which the moon rises and sets in Delhi on the given days. Students, here are the particular dates given in which the time of the moon rises and time of the moon sets given. Now students, after observing these times carefully, you have to answer the questions that follows. As the first one is, on 28 October, the moon came out at dash minute past dash o'clock. Now students, for this you have to carefully observe the table and then you have to write down here. And students, when you will observe the table carefully, then you will find out that on 28 October the moon came out at 16 minutes past 7 o'clock. In the same way, on 29 October the moon came out at 17 minutes past 8 o'clock. Similarly, on 29 October there was a difference of 1 hour and 1 minute in the time of the moon rise as compared to 28 October. So students, for the answer of these, you have to carefully observe the table. Now students, question number 2 is, if you saw the moon rising at 7 p.m. today, would you see it at the same time tomorrow? Students, here in this question you have to answer that if you saw the moon rising at 7 p.m. at a particular day, then would it possible that you see the moon rising at the same time on the other day? No students, not at all. It is not possible because the moon rises on different timings on different days. Now students, the next question is, on 31st October the time of the setting of the moon is given as 3 minutes past 12. Have you ever seen the moon at 12 in the afternoon? Why don't we easily see the moon or stars during the day? Students, as in the table it is given that on 31st October the time of the setting of the moon is 3 minutes past 12. So now you have to answer that, have you ever seen the moon at 12 in the afternoon? No student, it is not possible to see the moon at 12 in the afternoon. Now students, you have to answer that why don't we easily see the moon or stars during the day? Students, we cannot see the moon or stars during the day because due to the sunlight, and students, during the daytime the sunlight dominates the day, and that's why we cannot see the moon or stars during the day. Now students, let's discuss that what we have learned in this chapter. Question number 1 is, why do children always slide down the slide and not slide up? If this slide were there in Sunita's spacecraft, would children slide like this? Why? Students, here in this question you have to answer that why do children always slide down the slide and in fact not slide up? Students, this is just happen due to the gravitational force by the earth, due to which the children usually slide down and cannot slide up. And students, if this slide were there in Sunita's spacecraft, then children wouldn't enjoy since there is no gravity and the children cannot slide. Instead, they would float in the aircraft. Now students, the next question is, Why do we see stars mostly at night? Students, as we discussed this question recently, that during the daytime, the sunlight dominates the day, due to which we can't able to see the stars at daytime. Now students, the next question is, looking at Earth from the space, Sunita said, different countries cannot be seen as separate from here. These lines are on paper. They are made by us. What do you understand by this? Students, as we already discussed this one in our previous slides, where Sunita said that different countries cannot be seen as separate from here, means to say from space. Students, it means that humans, means to say us, have created the boundary line. Indeed, it is not for the nature. So that's why from this space we cannot identify a particular country, a particular district, a particular city. And students, the lines that we basically see on the map and on the globe are just for human understanding. And students, we the human being have drawn the lines and separated the countries. Now students, that's all about your chapter number 11. And with this topic here, your chapter number 11 is completed. Now, I will be come back soon with another chapter. Till then, stay home, stay safe and stay healthy.